Hello there, welcome to English class. A while ago, we discussed the genres of literature. Do you remember some of them? They are prose, poetry, and drama. In this lesson, we will consider a bit more. But first, do you recall what the word genre means? You see, sometimes when you speak, you express your words in a way that shows a style. That style helps you pass your message across in a way that is different from how others speak. Writing works that way too. So, genre deals with the style or manner of expression in writing. Once again, let's think about the three different genres of literature. They are prose, poetry, and drama. In these types of writing, events, characters, actions, and thoughts are written in such a way that causes the reader to think imaginatively, critically, emotionally, and objectively. So, let's consider each of them. A prose is usually written in paragraphs and chapters. It colorfully expresses events about a person or place, the thoughts and actions of a character, and sometimes the period or era those events took place. When reading a well-written prose, the reader often feels, thinks, and reacts to the events in the story as if these events are happening in that moment. The next genre, poetry. Poetry is quite easy to identify because it is written in verses and stanzas, and also to praise beauty or draw the reader into a feeling. Dramas are plays, usually written for the stage. When you read dramas instead of going to a theater to see them, you'll find things like acts and scenes. Was that a good reminder about the genres of literature? I think it was a good reminder. So, let's get on with the lesson. It is really about prose. Let me share a bit of history with you about this genre of literature. The earliest English prose was written a very long time ago. In fact, as early as the year 597, a book titled The Law Code by King Ethelbert I of Kent was written. Much later in the 9th century, that is between the year 900 and 999, the reigning King of England, King Alfred, decided to improve the state of English learning. So he translated many more books so that all could learn to read and write prose. Wow, I think that's an interesting history there. So, how does prose work exactly? I mean, how can one really tell what it is all about? Well, I'm happy to share more interesting things with you. Prose is written in two styles. There are fictional and non-fictional works of prose. Yes, not all works of prose are the same. Let's learn about the first one. It is called non-fictional prose. Did you get that? It's called non-fictional. Non-fictional prose deals with facts and events that really happened, so it is not fiction. When writing about the details of a person's life, their career, challenges, background, or social lifestyle, one writes a non-fictional prose. This kind of prose mainly seeks to inform you about real events and real people. A great example of a non-fictional prose written by a great Nigerian author is Ake by Wole Soyinka. This book gives us an account of the Nobel Prize-winning author's childhood, before and during the war. Works of prose that give accounts of a person's life, written by that person, are called autobiographies. Besides books, you can also find works of non-fictional prose in newspaper articles, textbooks, journals, and even magazines. The next type of prose is fictional prose. It is the opposite of non-fictional prose. This type of prose is fully or partly imaginative. Events, places, and characters in this type of literary work are not real. Partly imaginative works of prose usually have characters, events, or places that exist or existed in real life. Fictional prose can be in form of novels, short stories, and storytelling, which is derived in form of speeches. A great example of fictional prose written by another great Nigerian author is Things Fall Apart. It is a historic fictional prose and was written by Chinua Achebe. Another type of prose is heroic prose. This type of prose talks about literary works based on legends, myths, and tales. It combines both imaginative writing and writing based on facts. More examples of Nigerian prose writers are Femi Osofison, Ben Okri, Buchi Emecheta, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Sefi Atta, and Helen Habila. The last type of prose we would consider is called prose poetry. Prose poetry has the elements of poetry and prose. This means that it has the qualities of poetry, but it is not written in verse. Before we wrap this lesson up, Let's recall the three types of prose we learned earlier. They are non-fictional prose, fictional prose, heroic prose, and prose poetry. I mentioned that non-fictional prose gives accounts of events, people, and places based on facts because they exist and they are real. Fictional prose deals partly or fully with the writer's imagination. Heroic prose talks about legends, myths, and tales, while prose poetry uses elements of poetry in prose writing, but not written in verses. I hope you had a good time in this lesson. Until next time, bye!